5 simple steps to protect your assets in 2023. That's what I'm talking about in this video. And my name is James Baker, CPA, and I've helped clients from all over the world create complex international structures for protecting their assets. And I want to give you 5 very simple steps that you should consider or take so that you can protect your assets no matter what stage of life you're in. First, I want to say that if you are an ultra high net worth person, you should probably contact an asset protection attorney, an estate planning attorney, and go through that on a one-on-one basis. But these 5 topics are still going to be useful for you, and I want to go through them all right now. Number 1 is create a will and actually do some foresight and planning. A will is a legal document that specifies how you want your assets to be distributed after your death, and that's really more foresight for your family. Number 2 is really going to supersede a lot of number 1 if you do it the right way, and I would recommend having a will is quick, but I would recommend using number 2 to really supplement the will, and that is number 2. Use trusts. And a trust is a legal entity that allows you to specify how your assets should be managed and distributed. And there's many, many different types of trusts, each with its own set of advantages and disadvantages. But the most common trusts, especially for Americans, are just simple family trusts they have many different names. Just simple trusts, grantor trusts, revocable trusts, grantor trusts, family trusts. They have many names. But it's basically a trust that's going to own all of your assets on paper so that when you die, the trust documents dictate what happens with your assets after your death. And if you only have a will, you have to go through probate and the court system before your assets can be distributed. And it's costly and it's annoying and it's a problem for your heirs. So using simple grantor trusts is something you set up once. You put everything in the trust name on paper, and then you manage it all like that. And it's a really quick way to do it. And higher asset situations and more complex situations, there could be needs for offshore trusts, for irrevocable trusts, for different levels of estate planning. I'm trying to keep it simple for the purpose of this video and just raise awareness that using a simple revocable or grantor trust, however you want to call it, to be the owner is not an expensive thing to set up, and it will save your heirs so much time upon your passing, and we all gonna pass at some time. Number 3, use business entities, and this is something that if you own a business, you should use a business entity, which is like an LLC, limited liability company, or a corporation, which are different, to protect your assets from business debts and liabilities. And this is going to be legal liabilities and mostly legal liabilities and any business debts and creditors. So LLCs are used to own all kinds of different properties and are used in many different ways, especially for property ownership, because if someone falls down, if you have 5 houses, someone falls down in house 2, they can only sue you to the extent of what's in that LLC, which is going to be house 2. If everything's owned in your name, they can sue you for all you got. If everything's in the name of one LLC, they can sue for everything that LLC has. So using multiple entities, especially for owning property and running businesses, separate entities for each activity, is not only a good idea, it's very prudent, and it's something that I would heavily recommend that you do to protect yourself. There's small steps to take, and these are simple, small steps to take to protect your assets. Number 4, another simple thing is get insurance. And I read a book recently that talked a lot about insurance and the concepts of insurance. And insurance makes sense for a lot of different things. Insurance offers you peace of mind and helps you not worry about certain liabilities associated with certain assets. And it also actually does provide a value, especially if you're talking life insurance. If you pass, or when you pass, your heirs get money. If you're talking about like property insurance, it's actually legally required in most instances. If you're talking about disability insurance, if you become fully disabled, then your family can still generate income if you get disabled. I have all of those insurances, and it not only helps me sleep better, but I know that if something happens, I'll be prepared. And I want to protect my assets. If I'm not prepared, then my assets are at risk because I have to liquidate them and figure out how to pay for things because they weren't protected with insurance. And insurance is super important. There's many different types of insurance and different types of brokers and different ways to go around it. If you are looking for a good recommendation for life insurance, I don't even sell the stuff. I got licensed for it and it's too much work. So I refer that out. So contact me if you need help with any of these things. Obviously, it's a quick mini call to action. Number 5, use contracts. Clearly written contracts can help protect your assets by specifying the terms of your agreements and reducing the risk of disputes. As someone who works with business owners all over the world and works with attorneys, I will say that so many of my clients don't fully clearly write out their contracts and they don't get them signed. And I'm not an attorney selling contracts to people. I don't really push that service or really provide it like that. But I can see it's super required. It's super important. If you have a falling out, or even if like your partner has an untimely passing, then you have to deal with how the ownership is passed. And if you have no contracts in place, it's messy, and it's something that is super important and prudent to protect yourself and your assets from who knows what's going to happen. If you don't have a contract and your employee does something, your even employee contracts, but I'm talking about and your partner does something illegal, you don't want to lose your company because there's no contract identifying who owns what. If you don't have employee contracts and they get into do things they're not supposed to do and you didn't define that in their contract, then you're at risk for it. Contracts are super important, not only to protect yourself legally, but to have a plan and of how you're going to organize and operate your business. So having a contract, especially working with other people, is not only a good idea, but it's really essential to protecting your assets. And those are, it's important to know that no single strategy will completely protect all of your assets. It's better to consult with a legal professional to determine the best approach for your situation. But if you call me, we are going to talk about all of these things to make sure that you are covered and you are protected and your assets are safe, because my objective is for you to be protected and you to be safe and secure and filing everything in the right way and happy with that. That's how I want you to be set up. So if you don't have any asset protection, you're concerned about this, contact us in the description below and I'd be happy to work with you. Subscribe, and we go live all the time. And also we have a Telegram channel.